Hey guys, Dov here. Sorry for the day with no content. Had to relocate to a different space, so hopefully the audio sounds okay. I'm recording in a different space and kind of with a little bit of a different setup. Basically the same equipment, but anyway, that's besides the point. Today I'm here with Flying Taco. Just a bit of a fun time battle. This is with the new and improved Vlad von Karstein up against the new Skaven. He's got Gorich, of course, the thing, a Plague Priest on a bell, or a furnace rather, the Blight Scabs Plague Pack, bunch of clan rats, Rot the Unclean, leading the way on foot with the Council Guard. Pretty strong build overall. I've got, of course, Vlad, two Blood Knights, got two Black Knights with Lances and Barding. Definitely a unit that I'm planning on covering in my underrated unit series soon. They are fantastic. We've also got a Dire Pack, bunch of zombies, some spears, the obligatory Corpse Cart, and Necromancer Corpse Cart to touch his Forbidden Rod. And that's pretty much it, so we're going to have some fun today, see how the new and improved Vlad does up against the new and improved Skaven. So Vlad, of course, majorly benefited from the changes to bracing and mass to foot characters. He now also has primary armor piercing damage. I believe the weapon strength was decreased slightly overall. The day I'm recording this, I believe they did release the official patch notes. I have not had a time to look over them yet, but if I have time today, I will look them over and record a video later tonight on the official patch notes. But, oh man, here comes the thing. Just coming in, stepping all over Vlad, but you can see he did get knocked over there, but he didn't get punted very far. Gets up pretty quick and starts whacking that hell pit in the side there. The White King comes in as well, of course. Gotta have Vlad's retinue of undead scum. Rattling Gunner's going to open up here, or at least try to. The ROR Rattling Guns. I do summon up Skeleton Warriors on top of them, which is pretty nice, but in general, you can see this is why I'm such a big fan of the Black Knights. They come in and collapse, and just with the shock damage and the kind of terror nearby, a lot of these low-tier Skaven units are just going to rout, and these Black Knights are going to be able to clean up quite a bit of kills, just in general kind of open up this formation a little bit. They're just excellent kind of mid-tier shock cavalry, Blood Knights kind of flowing in and out here, so things are looking pretty good for me initially. But so far, I really have done basically no damage to these single entities, right? And this Plague Priest is acting essentially as an area of effect drain, just draining away the HP of all of my units nearby. I do counter with Unholy Lodestone kind of directly here, so especially on something like the Sternsmen, who already have a little bit of regeneration from their Regiment of Renown effect. They will get the double regen, so they'll pretty much have like a net zero effect, I want to say. I don't remember exactly how much the damage values are for the drain, but yeah, Gorich comes in. He's going to start pounding some zombies, just cleaning up tons and tons of infantry, already up to 50 kills. Got some Plague Monks also summoned in the back line, taking out some of those zombies. Camera works a little bit off from normal just because of the way my setup is right now. I'll try and get it fixed for the next few videos, but yeah, there we go. Just like that. That's what I'm talking about. But these Black Knights, again, just kind of flowing back and forth, and the fact that they're able to pretty cost-effectively just clean up a lot of these troops, and you could do this as well with Direwolves, but the Black Knights with their 110 armor and 62 charge, 42 weapon damage, very much like, almost like Reiksguard. They kind of have slightly worse armor and melee attack and defense, but the charge and weapon damage is on par with something like Reiksguard, so they just do a lot more shock damage than the Hounds. They can potentially clean up units even quicker and shatter them. But regardless, the Unholy Lodestone now going to pay the price as Gorich starts to slap it. He then turns around and says, you know what, maybe I'll slap Vlad instead. So this is the matchup everyone wants to see. Vlad versus Gorich here. Just kidding. Blood Knights to the rescue. They're gonna kind of push Gorich away here, get a big old Dance Macabre, hit all these Blood Knights and other units here, juice up their melee attack. The thing uses the fluid injection, goes out of control there, but then quickly regains its composure, if it even has such a thing. Anyway, yeah, Black Knight's doing, as I mentioned, just cleaning up routing units as much as I can. I'm a little worried, though. I mean, these single entities really haven't taken much damage at all, and I do have these Blood Knights relatively healthy still. One of them has taken a substantial amount of damage, though. And the Furnace in particular is rough here because of its armor. It's a little bit more resistant to the Blood Knights. I guess Gorich has 70 armor, which makes him at least in that way, better than Morskatar's Hellion. I would wonder, though, this same build, basically, where you just split Gorich into, like, an Assassin plus Morskatar's Hellion, that would potentially work better. The low armor of the Mutant Rat Ogre, I will say, is potentially a big problem against Blood Knights. But here you can see Throt actually gets tangled up with Vlad. Another big old Overcast Dance Macabre. Vlad does miscast on that, but that's fine. Just blows up Throt a little bit. Where is Vlad even? He's there. A little bit hard to see on this map, given the darkness, but... Oh yeah, the thing against Vlad and these Blood Knights here. Gorich sees him, unleashes some Warp Steam from his back. Look at that. Gonna try and get in here and tangle a little bit. But the Knights are kind of blocking his way, so he'll just take a swipe at them. And speaking of Knights, those Blood Knights have maybe lingered a little long here. The other Blood Knight was able to pull through, but I think me trying to pull them both through ended up meaning that this one kind of just gets caught up on these single entities and killed here. Not to mention the drain effect is definitely proving pretty decisive here. Yeah, the thing continuing to smash as it does. And the furnace draining, but the Black Knights are really kind of my saving grace here. They've allowed me to clean up just tons and tons of chaff. If we check in here, 182 kills, 226 kills, and considering how cheap they are, I mean, 1,050 for a really good mid-tier shock cav. Maybe not really good, but a mid-tier shock cav that's at the very least undead and has decent charge damage, which is really, you know, all that you would want. Given the situation. But yeah, Blood Knights, only the one here, does mean that I'm going to have to be a bit careful with my anti-large situation. This White King also may go down here, which could be a big problem. Remoldered being used on Throt there, I believe, or Gorich rather. Yeah, Remoldered on Gorich, so he's going to get some extra melee attack. The 92 melee attack with that Remoldered, and does get a substantial amount of HP. That being said, it's going to be interesting in this late game. I was ahead on the balance of power for quite some time, but I'm not feeling great about my chances, mostly because Vlad counts as infantry, Gorich has a substantial bonus versus infantry, and Vlad is at his healing cap at this point. I unfortunately did not bring the Karstein Ring, which would have given me a bit of extra HP, basically, from the damage resistance it gives you on a cycle. Would have been nice. Definitely did not bring it, but now I'm kind of regretting that. Vlad's at his healing cap, so he can't get any more benefit from Blood Drinker. And he's just going to have to tough it out. Thankfully, I do have the Necromancer on the Corpse Cart, which, funny enough, does have 300 weapon strength on a Corpse Cart and up to 62 melee attack with the Dance Macabre. So the Battle Corpse Cart has been unleashed. It's probably the fact that he, you know, actually swings a sword off the side, right? Because the normal Corpse Carts have like 50 weapon strength or something silly like that. Healing proc does go off, though. You can see the thing, Master of Beguilement being countered with the Fluid Injection. Still kind of a net nerf, but it does get a healing proc, which is bad news for me, basically. Like, if that thing gets another healing proc, and Gorich also getting probably another Remoldered, potentially, it could tough this out in the late game. The Dire Pack I haven't really highlighted either, but they've been doing a great job kind of chasing units. Actually not. I forgot them in the woods for a good amount of the battle, but they're going to come out in the late game, and with their anti-large damage, they can do a decent amount to the thing, given that it doesn't have the most melee defense in the world. Only 38 melee defense means that with that bonus versus large, they're still getting consistent contact, especially in that kind of swarm surround situation. Somehow, there's still 3 Council Guard here, though, which is giving physical resistance to everything. It looks like the Bell was chased off, and I believe that was finished off by the Dire Pack. Vlad is on his last legs, down barely under 1,000 HP, and the thing is just hunting. The Blood Knights come in. They're able to hold it back for just a moment. Also got some summoned zombies on the field, so things are looking okay, but there's Gorich out in the distance, running with the wolves. Getting chased by the wolves, rather. Here comes the Unholy Lodestone. I really need to get my Blood Knights near the Unholy Lodestone, so this is maybe a little bit of a mistake here. But I just wanted to hold the thing in place, basically, give Flying Taco something to chew on so that I could kind of get my bearings back and kind of, yeah, get things back together, get a nice side charge from Vlad. He does get a little bit caught up in those zombies. But look at that, another healing proc on top of the Fluid Injection. Vlad does get an attack there, but also eats one. Not to mention Throt also potentially doing some damage. He does have armor piercing. So in that situation, he could do something. The last few Blood Knights, literally like a couple Blood Knights charge in to get an attack and then immediately die. Well, yep, there goes the Unholy Lodestone. So they are no longer able to heal passively, and that is a big deal. The Necromancer, though, he's just over here. He's just touching his Forbidden Rod, just getting a little extra Winds of Magic. Vlad also using Arcane Conduit at the same time, so desperately using up trying to summon, rather, what magic I can. But Throt, the fact that Throt is still so healthy at this point, I really haven't focused him at all. I didn't really have the tools to necessarily. He is gonna be a problem here. The fact that he has so much HP means I'm basically gonna have to break him on leadership. Thankfully, Vlad does also cause terror. That is one thing I forgot to highlight, as I just give you the worst close-up of the thing you've ever seen. Yeah, Vlad, if I highlight him here, you can see he does cause terror, just baseline now. So, even if we can just get like a slight rear charge here on Throt, with the thing going down now, being slain by Vlad and the Hounds, and the Necromancer also coming in. There are these Skaven slaves here too, though, right? They're also now getting hits on Vlad and hits on the corpse cart. Even if they are just tiny little incidental hits. I mean, Vlad has 350 HP left, so it's really not going to take too long. Thankfully, one more pocket zombie summon, just because undead are that amazing. And where's Throt? Throt is literally, like, doing unspeakable things to the thing right now. Let's just not pay attention to that in particular. And just admire the fact that this corpse cart actually gets a big attack and finishes off his leadership. Gets terrified by Vlad, and it's just barely a win for me. Probably one of the closest games I've played in quite a bit, on par with that game I had with Turin the other day. But yeah, man, great game to Flying Taco. Super fun one. I was feeling pretty good for most of the battle until I realized, like, oh man, I might not have enough to kill these single entities, which is kind of the situation I found myself in up against Turin when he beat me with Orion. But this time, I had the true Chad, who is, of course, the dad, Vlad. Throt's definitely a thick boy. He's definitely up there. But, I mean, Vlad, especially now with the changes, the fact he's a better combatant, he causes terror. Master of Beguilement's already a very strong ability, so definitely look for Vlad to make an impact in a number of matchups. This one in particular, I think, any matchup where you're worried about getting hardcore Lord sniped, probably Vlad is the way to go. Yeah, it's an interesting one, especially in a build like this where you can take lots of Knights. Definitely right up my alley. Like I said, Black Knight's doing a great job. The Blood Knight's also, one of them just barely paying for itself. And it's interesting looking at this damage valuation on Blood Knight specifically. They can get an insane amount of work done, but this is really cost inefficient for them from a damage perspective, which is kind of the role of Blood Knights, is to be damage dealers. So despite the fact I have some passive healing, like I just, misusing them is still a problem. But the Black Knights, I mean, even though tactical value-wise, like chasing units off is hard to quantify, but just in terms of damage, they pretty much paid for themselves, at least the one did. Likewise, Dire Pack, 2,000 points worth of value. These kind of cheaper pursuit units are a little bit easier to pay for themselves, whereas something like the Black Knights, it's more kind of a general utility, not just chasing units off, but also dealing shock damage, rear charges, kind of serving all purposes. They can be a blocking detachment as well if you need to. 137 kills for the Sternsman, excellent, good as always. Zombies and skeletons don't need to do a lot to pay for themselves, and they largely do. Yeah, Throt doing some good damage. You can see, though, Gorich and the Plague Priest actually killed a very substantial amount of value each, both well over 3,000. That's great to see. Skaven Slaves even tangling okay, and some situations with the zombies. Not great for these clan rats, though, to be honest. And in something I have noticed recently with the valuations is that Skaven Slaves seem to just be, in general, more cost-effective than clan rats. Like, it's not necessarily bad to bring a couple clan rats, but I really think probably you want to take just full-on chaff for the most part. But Blight Scabs, Plague Pack, doing a decent amount of damage, not quite paying for themselves. Council Guard, on top of the Guardian they were giving to these characters, giving them the extra physical resistance, which was massive given how close the game was, also paid for themselves just in damage value. The Rattling Guns were definitely in a rough spot, but the Thing also paying for itself, which is nice to see. getting those healing procs. But yeah, just a little bit of a fun one, showing off some of the new things in action. No real specific focus for this one, just a kind of a fun battle for you all. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Planning on doing a stream if I can get things set up correctly for the release of the patch, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again, we'll see you next time.